Who am I? If someone should ask you that question, what would your response be? In fact, I think it would stump many of us. It is said by psychologists that persons who ask this question are unsure of their identity. And the more they ask this question, it is the more fragile they are with respect to their identity. At the other end of the continuum, according to psychologists, are individuals who figure they know themselves so well, so there is absolutely no room for improvement. Now, this episode, we'll be looking at this particular issue, trying to understand who we are. Regardless of what the psychologists tell us, we want to explore this issue to find out who we are. And I would like that to be our very first question today. Who are you?
At this stage of my life, I'm still trying to figure out who I am. I was watching a movie the other day, The Overcomers, and this same question was posed to one of the characters in the movie. Who are you? At first, she couldn't answer, and when she finally figured herself out, these are the words she said. I am created by God. He designed me, so I am not a mistake. His son died for me just so I could be forgiven. He picked me to be his own, so I am chosen. He redeemed me, so I am wanted. He showed me grace just so I could be saved. And because of that, she said her future belongs to him. So I am still on my journey of trying to figure out who I am, but what I know is that we are each created for a purpose. We each have a purpose here on this earth. So I'm still on my journey of trying to figure out. There are some things that I've mastered. There are some things that I'm still trying to figure out, but I'm still on my journey of figuring out myself.
Interesting, Michelle. That's a question I like to pose to people, and especially young ones. And I have found out that when that question is posed to younger persons, they usually begin by giving you biographical data, name, where they're from, and they tell you what they like and what their hobbies are. Who am I? I'm much more than that. There's my biographical data. There are things about me that's external. There are things that are internal. There are things that I haven't yet discovered that I can define who I am. But I know and I believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I believe that I'm unique. I think that I'm special. I think I'm blessed with talents, not unique to me, but I think that I'm blessed with talents that I can use to help in the development of the me. I believe also my values, my likes, my dislikes, all of those make up me. Yes, I'm beautiful, regardless of what you think, inside and out. That's who I am, and still there's more to me.
Oh, wow. Such poised answers. Oh, wow. Let me just tell you straight out. When I hear the question, who am I? Oh gosh, that's a loaded question. To me, I have so many different personalities. Only the Lord can help. Only the Lord can help. I try to be a very happy individual. I love going out and meeting a lot of people and basically just talking to them and showing them just how I am. Sometimes I feel like I talk a bit too much, because when I'm happy and when I trust someone and when I'm in a good mood, I try to uplift the spirit of everyone around me. So if I'm in a group of people, you will always hear me giving my opinion on certain things. Uh, I love me, who I am. Sometimes I know I'm a bit much, but I can only work with what I've been given, right? I can try to improve myself, and that I have been doing a lot of over the years. Some drastic changes that I've literally just prayed about and don't even know how they came to be, but probably just woke up about a day and realized that, okay, I'm a bit different now. I don't really do the things that I used to do. I don't say the things that I used to say. And so, as Hope says that she's on her journey to figuring out who she is, I believe that also I'm on that journey because I'm still early in my years. So I have a way to go to figure out who exactly I am, how to better myself and to be a better person than what I am now. So yes. Yeah, that's me. That's who I am.
Okay. All right. So my next question is, what is the relationship between how we view ourselves and our self-esteem?
What is the relationship with how we view ourselves and our self-esteem? Well, I believe how we view ourselves will determine the type of self-esteem that we have. Do we have a high or do we have a low self-esteem? And that, in terms of our self-esteem and the way we view ourselves, it can come from a whole different things. It can be from our background, where we came from, the things we were exposed to, the limitations that we have, the shortfalls that we have in our lives personally. So for me now, I have what they call as a lisp. And growing up, I remember being afraid to talk in the public because of this lisp. And there were persons who would make it seem as if I am not worthy enough to speak in the public because I'm not able to pronounce certain letters properly. So there was this fear for me in terms of speaking in the public. I didn't have that confidence to say this is something that I can do. I remember growing up as well, I struggled with a weight issue. And I remember they were having this pageant in my community, and somebody recommended that I be a part of it. And one of the comments was I was too fat. These are some of the things that can really affect your self-esteem, your confidence. But when you get to the level where you recognize that we are created for a purpose, Joan said, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God created us each to have some positive contribution and have a positive impact on people that we meet. So it doesn't matter what our limitations are, it doesn't matter what our shortcomings are, there's something that we are able to contribute.
Self-esteem. I think sometimes we are victims because of how society labels certain things. Because you're from poor circumstances, maybe the expectations are not high. Sometimes it's because you may have challenges, physical challenges. Sometimes you are not aware of the things that probably you would be aware of if you were more exposed. And once somebody you sees that in you, recognizes that in you, then it's a seem that you are not good enough. And low self-esteem results from that whole feeling that you're not good enough, you don't belong. And this can really keep you in a mode that you never seem to be able to rise out of. But we have seen a lot of success stories where persons with challenges and people who have been in circumstances that are less than favorable have risen to the top. And so if I find myself in any of those situations, I think what I would want to say is that look around you. There are people who have excelled and who have risen above the limitations and have done well. So what I can do to improve myself and how I see myself is to look at the success stories that are around me.
Well, I believe sometimes we are our hardest critics, right? Sometimes we come so hard on ourselves, and it's later on in life that we realize that it just wasn't necessary. Sometimes, let's look at the weight, right? A lot of females are weight conscious. If they put on an extra pound, it's nerve wracking, and it destroys them inside, because what society tells us is that skinny is better, right? And we put ourselves in the mindset that if we are not a particular weight, then we aren't beautiful per se, right? I I realized that many women will look back on pictures that they believe they were at a particular age they were fat, right? But then when they look back at those pictures, they say, "Oh, call me did maga." And if I could only get back to that weight, we are our biggest critics, and we just have to realize that we are beautiful in our own way. And if we believe that from an early age, then I think we will be better off growing up in the society that we are placed.
Can I add something, Michelle? I believe that we live in a society, especially our Jamaican society, where words are used to kind of make you feel out of place. As Hope said, she's so fat. Do you know that most of the times, if you have on some weight, people say, "What the way you're fat?" If you have lost some weight, boy, you're maga, eh? You know? People, say to you, "It's what happened to your hair. It's what happened to your face." And they seem to play up what they consider negative about you. And so you begin to question yourself. But I always say to myself, as I say to younger people, go stand up before your mirror. Look at yourself. See yourself as beautiful. You do not need somebody to tell you that you're beautiful, because beauty is more than what meets the eye. You're more than what you see in there. You're a sum total of physical, spiritual, emotional. There's all that part of you. And when you look in the mirror, look at yourself, and you recognize that you're more than what you see. And don't let anybody tell you that you are incapable of, or you do not belong. This is God's universe. You have a right to be here. And therefore, it may take some time, and it will require you, it will probably affect your confidence too. But at the same time, purpose in your heart that you are going to be who you know you can be. And it does make a difference. Your confidence will be boosted, and then you will find that from one success to another one, it happens. You will get there.
Yes, I want to jump in. Yes, as Joan spoke about, I mean, 7 different men, 7 different men. Yeah. Today you meet somebody, "Oh, you look so nice and rosy," and tomorrow, "Man, you have on too much weight," and the other person say you're too skinny, and But I don't know if you remember the story of
I was about
the story of the donkey, yes. The man, the husband and wife, and the donkey. And one was on the donkey. The wife was on the donkey, I believe, and they said the wife wicked to have the husband pulling her on the donkey. And all right, the wife came off and let the husband go on. They said, and all right, they get so confused because the husband wicked, the wife wicked. They say, all right, let us just walk and carry the donkey. Yeah, so everything you do, people will have their own contribution. So you have to have that personal image of yourself, and that confidence in yourself, and just that level of satisfaction, being satisfied with who you are, your shortcomings, and everything. and to know that you are enough. It doesn't matter what your shortcomings are. You are enough. And as we have been saying earlier, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. We don't have the same gifts. We don't have the same talents. I might not be able to. Yes, we are unique,
Exactly.
right? But we are all created for a purpose, and our different talents and gifts complement each other. What if we all had the same talents? What if we all look the same way? This world would be so boring. So we just have to appreciate who we are,
Yeah.
despite of and in spite of.
As Joan was talking, I remember a few weeks ago I was watching a television program, and one popular hostess, she was recounting she was going through a divorce, and she had lost some weight. And there were persons, she said, whom she met, and one set was commenting how lovely she looked with the weight loss, and another said how she's too mager. And then it's like she was caught in the middle. What should she do? What should she do? Am I too fat? Am I too slim? And if you rely on the input of everybody in your life, you will become like the man and the wife and the donkey.
Yes.
Right? So we have to dig deep and find it within ourselves. We have to find ways of telling ourselves that we are beautiful, that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, that we are unique. Because even women out there who are beautiful suffer from low self-esteem, Again, I was watching a motivational clip from another very popular person here in Jamaica. And she said she got the opportunity to work overseas with a particular actor. And in working with that actor, very beautiful girl, because she entered Miss Jamaica at a Universal World, one of them out here, right? And she placed, was a fifth or whatever. And that individual, that actor overseas, told her that she had such low self-confidence. This was somebody who was beautiful, but still lacked that self-esteem, that high self-esteem, that value that she should place on herself. So it's not because you are ugly or you're pretty. Everybody has their challenges out there, and we just have to look and understand that, we are really unique individuals, and appreciate who we are, who God made us to be. And anything that we can work on, we work on those. And we can't work on, we just leave it and say, this is it. But let us not become like the man and the wife and the donkey. And we start to carry the donkey upon our shoulder instead of ride the donkey.
Not to prolong this, Michelle, sometimes I think probably you ladies have seen there are persons who have no arms. And yet they have successful lives. They are determined that my challenge or my disability will not define who I am. And they do such wonderful things. Just recently, this lady who has no arms, she was highlighted on TV. She sews, she does, to see her, she uses a pair of scissors to cut. I was fascinated to see what she could do, and she has no arms. So, there are some people who you just have to say, boy, her self-esteem is really high. She couldn't, or he doesn't care less what other people think. I know myself. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm capable of. I'm confident in who I am. I'm aware of what I like, what I don't like, my challenges. I am aware of what makes me happy, what makes me sad, and I'm moving towards becoming the best me.
Well, one point I wanted to make was to draw back to what Joan mentioned about people highlighting the worst in you. And it was an experience for me that really showed me how important confidence was. I met, normally you go in front of people where you haven't seen for quite a while, them say how fat you get, right? And I had a family member that said something to me, and it was like really struck a chord, because they were like, how you get so fat? Some say me get fat. No, sir. I'm like, how me stay? And the comment that came next was, is a man tell you that? So I was like, what a man have to do with how me want to look? Right? So it's what if I wasn't that confident individual to say this, let this not bother me as to how it should or what they meant it for. Maybe they even said it in a joking way, but I think a lot of people not realizing how how impactful their opinions can be on someone's life. And it is really, really good to have self-confidence, because in the long run, it is really all that matters.
Yeah. All right, so my next question is, we are living in a vastly different age and time from perhaps when certainly I was growing up. We now have information at our fingertips. We have social media to contend with. What role does social media play in how we view ourselves?
All right. Well, this can be both good and bad, right? Let me tackle the bad first, because, for example, I don't know if it runs through your generation, right? For the older generation, but I believe like individuals within my age group, they suffer a lot from this, because they use the telephone, they use the tablet, and whatever media they can get, they go on these social media platforms and they like use it as a blueprint for life, right? There's social media is a huge thing when it comes to individuals my age and younger. So you will see them talking about influencers, YouTubers, Instagrammers. They have this image in mind that this is what should be, right? This is what I should be doing for a living. This is the lifestyle that I should be living, right? And it poses a problem for the little people like me that don't necessarily do these things, right? I don't have the beautiful beach to lounge on every single day. I don't have the Coca-Cola bottle shape that is pronounced every single day by these influencers. And the thing is, that's true. Let my shape be the Coca-Cola. But the thing is, I was watching a video this morning, and an influencer was speaking about how even the influencers are struggling with this problem, because they too look at others and want to be like how they are. And she mentioned the different things that she has to do before she can get a really photogenic photo to put up, and the hundreds of pictures she has to take. But at the same time, she has to look for the perfect one to put up. And that now is what everybody else base their life off of. Mm-hmm. So now look at that we are thinking that influencers are everything. Right? That's what they base a life off. If you're not living this lifestyle, oh my gosh, I'm not living it right. I'm not living life right. And the little paycheck that you're getting can't suffice, because that is a lifestyle that you want. You want to drive the big car and you want to live in the big house.
But in most cases, though, that is not their true self or true identity.
That
because,
is true.
as you said, they have to be taking several photos, doing all of these things to get that perfect looking one. Mm-hmm. So you see the stress and the strain that they have to go through to portray that image that is not really
But
a true image.
You know what I have found out? And maybe because I'm not so much of a techie, I didn't understand how they were able to create such wonderful pictures. But I understand that they have filters.
Yes.
And you have to have proper lighting. to be able to take those pictures so you can appear flawless and ageless and all these wonderful things. Coupled with that, a lot of them are going under the knife, or they have Botox and all these things to keep them looking younger and youthful. So we are looking at these pictures and thinking,
Oh, yes, I
wait,
want to be like that.
I am this age like you, but you look younger than me. So with these images, we begin to feel inadequate, because they know exactly how to do the pose to have the Coca-Cola bottle shape. I was watching something the other day that this lady said that there was a technique
Right.
that you should use
Yes.
to pose a particular way so that your body you look like you have breasts up this
What
and you have
stress
flat
and
belly
strain.
and you have and you
Yes.
get the what you call the thirst trap trap.
Yes,
You know,
Lord.
there's a whole science behind how it is you appear in social media. So when we look at these images and these individuals taking a snapshot of their day, we are led to believe that we are inadequate because we don't look like them. Right?
Michelle-
So we have to be careful.
I wonder though, how can we get it across to persons that the life that is on the social media platforms, that these are not real? And all the hype which says what I'm doing and where I am and all of that kind of stuff, it's not real. But somehow it does influence those who are looking at it and striving for it. And there now you begin to see yourself as inadequate. You know? The other thing that I talk about is I do not believe in these reality shows. The reality shows are not real.
No, staged.
You understand? And people sit down and they believe in them. Hollywood is not real.
It isn't.
And there are so many people who are guided by what they see on the different in the different media out there. And you strive for a life that is not real. Somebody told me about one of these old time sitcoms. It was what's the name of the one who the American Father? Cosby.
Oh, okay.
That one of the Cosby girls' husband in the sitcom was seen at one of these stores, Trader Joe's, where he was bagging stuff. And she took a picture of him and had it displayed on social media because this actor, who was quite successful, was now bagging stuff at Trader Joe's. Quite handsome, yes, he was. And then, and probably still is. But then somebody saw the picture that was put out in the public domain, got him, and now he is back into his world and actually filming again. But it is how unkind people can be. You know, how unkind people and the expectations that they have of you. And if you can't live up to those expectations, then it's as though you know, something is wrong with you. You are not where you're supposed to be, and that can kill your self-esteem.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching, since this whole COVID thing came around, and a lot of persons are not able to go out and get their usual fix-ups. And I remember I was watching this particular daytime talk show host, and you know, the features were just not the features that you are used to. You know, the jaw lines were dropping. And I mean, people usually wonder, but you know, how them look so good for them age? They're 51 or they're 60 and they look so youthful and whatever. But no, that COVID
It's revealing the real you. It's revealing. No,
The truth is out.
yeah, but talk about that, Michelle. The whole fix up on the face and all of that. I went with this face mask and this big joke about whether or not do we still wear the makeup and the lip gloss and the lipstick underneath the mask.
What's the point? Nobody's seeing it. What's the point?
But you know, we have to be realistic and understand that as Joan says, Hollywood is not a real place. They have makeup artists that will spend hours fixing them up, and they know exactly how to apply the blush and the shimmer, this and whatever, to give that youthful appearance. But strip all of that off, strip all of the Botox, strip all of the injections and the facelifts and all of that. And what do we have? We have nature taking its toll. We have nature taking its toll. So young people, just be very careful how we are looking at these individuals and wanting to emulate, wanting to model them and thinking that they're the real deal. They're fake.
Fake. Right, fake.
Very much so.
All right. So we're talking about how we view ourselves and how that helps to inform the decisions that we make, how we enter into certain relationships. How important is an understanding of self in how we make decisions?
Very important, because some of what we're saying, that how you view yourself has a great impact on your self-confidence. And if you have no self-confidence, you're going to make poor decisions. Yet we have to make decisions, a million decisions, throughout our life, throughout our day. Lots of decisions come. And so how you view yourselves, do you have confidence in the fact that you're able to look at a situation, see how it affects me, how I am, what I want, where I want to go, the things that affect my life, especially as I become me and as I look at myself, how those decisions will impact me. One of the things I would like to suggest, it is that, did you know that you have styles in making decisions? For example, Hope, you have those persons who are impulsive. What kind of decision maker are you? You're going to a store, you have no idea that you're going to pick up something. You just went in there to look, and the next thing you're coming out with bags of stuff. Impulsive buyer. You understand? And some people, as soon as there is something for which you need to make a decision, you don't give it enough thought. You just go ahead and you make the decision. Then you have the compliant person, which the whole attitude is, if it's okay with you, it's okay with me. You don't seem to have a definite take on what you want. It is, if it's okay with you, then it's okay with me. You have those persons, the song that Patty Page? Whatever will be, will be. So,
Que sera,
sera, sera. So therefore, I just go along with it. Whatever will be, will be. So I don't have to really involve myself into thinking or evaluating. I just go ahead and I make the decision. Then you have those persons, the procrastinators, the tomorrows. Okay, it's something that I should take a decision on, but tomorrow I'll think about it. So for today, but my advice is never put off for tomorrow what you can do today. And then there are those people who go by feeling. If it feels right, then I'll make that decision. I don't evaluate, I don't think about it, I don't seek counsel to hear other people's opinions. Just feels right to you, and then you can do it. And there are those who play it safe. What's the risk? If I take this, what's the risk? This risk is too high. So even if it's good, the risk is too high. I don't know. So you, in making decisions or taking decisions, you have to look at yourself where you are. What kind of person am I? How do I go about making decisions? It may inform us in terms of what kind of self-esteem do I have? How much do I know me? How do I see myself? And then if you recognize that the decision is not going to take you where you are, it can even impact your health. The decision, some people make decisions about getting into bad company, experimenting with drugs that harm them for life. There are some people who have friends that they engage in activities that come to haunt them even in their later years. In other words, some people have suffered great consequences from making bad decisions. But I want to give a word of hope. The fact that you make a bad decision doesn't mean that it has to be a killer for life. The important thing is recognizing that you have made a bad decision is maybe to know, where did I go wrong? What could I have done? I could have spoken to somebody. I could have gotten another point of view. But I hasten to say that if you solicit somebody else's point of view about, hey, Michelle, I like that guy over there, or he likes me, We've been seeing each other for a time. And Michelle gives me some advice. I see him in another way. I'm wondering if, that would be the best relationship for you. You heard it, but you went ahead. It's not Michelle, and when Michelle was totally wrong, don't go say to him, no, you see that, Michelle? Michelle never wanted us to be together, Or you didn't go, and then you regretted it afterwards. Michelle was the one that didn't, the life I could have had. Once you have gotten the counsel advice, the decision is yours.
Yes.
And you hold yourself responsible. And it is good if you have a good friend who can hold you accountable for the decisions that you make. But decision making, yes, it has consequences and severe consequences. I think what we should pray for is wisdom. Wisdom. And when you are still unsure, find somebody who you can trust what they say, and then take the decision that you take. I don't remember which writer who says it. Some of us, there's no perfect decision. He says there's no perfect decision. And he says this, marry and you regret it. Don't marry
and you regret
it. Okay? So in other words, you have to weigh the consequence, the outcome, and then you can make a decision. And when that outcome becomes a reality, take responsibility. I made the decision. I could have done otherwise, learn from it, and move on.
Yeah. How important you believe are friends and family in helping to shape how we view ourselves? And I want us to think about it in the context of the story of the eagle and the chicken.
I don't know if I remember it very well, but Michelle, I'm sure you don't remember it so very well. I can see it. But I think the eagle's egg, however it came to be in the chicken's nest, the eagle's egg was there. So the chicken sat on it and it hatched. So with the other chicks that came out from those eggs too. So in that brood, there was an eagle and there were chickens. Now, chickens don't fly very far. And eagles are soarers. But living among the chicks, it grew up doing the things just like chicks do. It wasn't flying, and if it flew, it wasn't flying any further. It just behaved just like a chick. It is said, I think one version of the story says that the eagle saw an eagle flying high and asked what it was. So they said, that's an eagle, that's not for you. We are chickens, we belong down here. And so I think there are many different endings to the story. One of them says that, of course, the eagle remained with the chicks and died, not having the experience of soaring high up. That's the one I remember.
So that eagle did not realize
Its potential.
its full potential.
Right.
Although it had all the characteristics that would make it soar.
So what I'm getting from that, the way we were cultured and nurtured can affect our outcome or what we strive to be or become. And if we don't take that opportunity to explore and to learn new things, the mindset, they said that the mind is very, very powerful, and everything starts in the mind. So whatever you believe, you will achieve. But if you limit yourself, you wouldn't be able to open up yourself to those great possibilities, so to speak. So this eagle had the potential to fly. But he was cultured and nurtured to say that, you operate as a chicken. Our families and our friends, in terms of shaping how we view ourselves, it is said that the home is the first institution of socialization, and basically our moral values and who we basically are. Some of these things are instilled in us by our parents and in the home. So they play a very important part in our well-being, the decision we make, and also our self-esteem in general. But there are other institutions, that give us an opportunity to explore other things.
I am thinking, Hope, that if that eagle didn't stay within the confines of those chicken and explored, as you said, broke out of that barrier, that surrounding, and explore and go find other eagle like himself, then perhaps he would have learned to soar. He would have then
Story
recognized
would have a different
the
ending.
story would have had a different ending. He would have now recognized his full potential. And it says to me that sometimes we have to break out of our little circle. Maybe it is, that we have been socialized in a particular way by our parents and our homes. But if we don't take that opportunity to be socialized by other institutions, schools, churches, socializing with other individuals outside of your immediate family circle, then you won't get to see your full potential.
That's why you see, Michelle, you have to, as early as possible, know who you are and what makes you. Because sometimes in our culture, there are many things that are killers. You say you want to become a professional person, a particular area. I want to be a diplomat. But what are you talking about? Diplomat? You can't be no diplomat. You understand? So immediately you cut that child down. And you see the child with certain gifts and abilities when they are young. But you want that person to be you and want to fulfill your dream. And so you make it seem that what that child wants and what they have, they seem to have the abilities, tending in that area. Then you downplay that. And so the child believes that only certain things are valuable. And what I can do is not considered valuable. And so they want to please parents. But on the other hand, you have some parents and some family members who keep prodding and pushing. You can be anything you want to do. Put in the work. You understand? Put in the work. Show the interest. Give them the things that can help them to nurture that interest and allow it to grow. And you see that every now and again, more so often these days than others, people out of difficult circumstances, sometimes abandoned, they see themselves as having potential. They go for it, and they have become stars in our society, contributing much.
I readily recall the story that Steve Harvey told of himself.
Yes.
Right? Where he said when he was growing up, his teacher asked him what he wanted to become. And he told her something to the effect that he wanted to be on TV.
Yes.
And she
He was
laughed him
vilified,
to scorn. Right? No, where is Steve Harvey?
On TV.
Making millions off being on TV. Right?
I know he said that he sent what? He sends a picture or a video to his teacher periodically.
Yes.
And I'm sure she must feel awful.
Exactly. So sometimes we have to look outside and dull those voices that we can't do this or we can't achieve that, and look deep down and look to God.
That's right.
To recognize our potential. It was this morning or yesterday I was bathing, and it seemed as if I get these brilliant thoughts when I'm bathing. And it then came to me that we're really complex human beings, God has created us as really complex human beings, and we don't even recognize half of the potential we have
That's right.
until we have perhaps been put in certain circumstances. And as when we're in there and we come out of it, we're like, how was I able to get over that? How was I able to achieve that? Right? But we need to understand that we have a lot of potential untapped, and it is only when certain circumstances face us that we recognize really what we are made of.
And we must be open to change, to Michelle, but not because things are not happening in our era and something might sound new. Our kids might say something to us in terms of their profession and what they aspire to be, and it sounds kind of foreign to us. We think that, this is not possible. We must be open to change and explore new possibilities. Learn some more about what was introduced before we shut it down,
Yeah, and you notice there are, I am taken that back at the many different areas that people have gone into that you don't hear about them. And you see that person is there and is in a field. I say, where did that come from? But the person saw it, recognized that I have an interest, I'm moving in that direction, and become great successes. So that parents, I want to speak to you if you're watching, that be encouragers to your children. Support their dreams, support their aspirations. Even if they fall or fail, it's not final. You need to read to see how many businesses that are million-dollar businesses now, how many times they had failure. But the will was there and supported by parents, then you can move on and your children can achieve.
Yeah. As you said that, I remember the story of the KFC man. How many different times he failed before he finally got the recipe, and now where is KFC?
Sometimes persons want to really break out and do something new, but the family is there holding them back because they're not exposed to this new era, to this new thing that you're bringing to the table. It's like, hey, if I don't know about it, then it can't come through, or this you won't do well. Because I am not aware of it. So we need to break out of that, man. Change is happening every day, every minute, every second, and we have to embrace it.
As you said, that hope, the thought came to me that it's not every dream we have, we should share it with certain people, because certain people or some persons are dream killers. So we have to be careful who we are sharing our dreams with. How we view ourselves, and especially if we have a negative view of ourselves, how can that lead us into taking on some relationships, engaging in some relationships that are toxic? A lot of women, for argument's sake, sometimes is at the roots of their issues is the fact that they have low self-esteem, and therefore they find themselves in these toxic relationships where the men beat them or abuse them in some way or the other. How important is it to have a good view of yourself so that you don't end up into these situations?
Michelle, I think with self-esteem comes self-worth. And you have to know the value of yourself. And, you basically set the standard. I believe you basically set the standard of how you want to be treated and how others should treat you. If we have a very low self-esteem, if we don't have self-confidence, then any and everything that comes, we will just accept it. But if we have self-worth and a high self-esteem, then certain things we will not tolerate, certain things we will not accept, because we basically have a standard for ourselves. When we have low self-esteem, we're always seeking affirmation. Everything that we do, if we put on a piece of clothes, we want somebody to tell us that we look good. Even though we have the mirror to kind of look at ourselves and see how we look. If we do something, we want somebody to endorse it, and if 5 people endorse it and 1 person didn't, we are focusing on the 1 person that didn't endorse it. And so, we have to really come to that place. We spoke earlier of how fearfully and wonderfully made we are, and we're all beautiful, we're all unique. in our own ways, and we have to own that. And when we own that, we will recognize our self-worth. And when people recognize what and who we are, then in terms of how we are treated, and we have to set a standard. If certain things didn't sit right with us the first time, we have to ensure that it is known, so people know what we're about, what we like and what we dislike. But we have to set a standard so people really know what and who we are.
So you said something about in terms of getting a husband or a boyfriend. You know the saying, if them not beat me, they not love me. Oh Lord.
That does not exist anymore. I don't think so.
It really comes down to putting yourself first, right? And understanding the person that you are. Sometimes, I mean, with the mentality that some women or some men have, because self-esteem doesn't trouble just females. It trouble everyone, right? Men just as much. So if we try to understand, if we seek help from other people, because ultimately sometimes that's really what it comes down to, because we cannot really help ourselves through every situation we put ourselves in. But if we turn to others and we talk about it, like, I'm not feeling good about this, help me to understand how to improve. So it know where you have the men talking to you in a bad way, or the female talking to the men in a bad way. And the men, I think it hits the men a bit harder, because men have this thing as pride that they don't want to tell anybody that my wife is beating me or she's not treating me well. And I mean, they may not speak about it, but they need love too. And I just believe that if we are in a situation that we are not able to just push through and take a stand, we need to talk up. We need to speak to somebody else, especially someone who's much older or have more experience in the area. And the knowledge will come, and growing into that will eventually realize how best to deal with a particular problem as self-esteem.
Michelle, I think that it goes back to the question that you asked each of us at the beginning. Who are you? Who am I? Because if I am able to answer that question, there are things that I will not put as priority in a relationship. For example, you're an attractive girl. Don't you know that? So in other words, why should it fly to your head if somebody admires you because you're attractive? You're able to accept that as a compliment and not think that, you begin to see butterflies and stars. In other words, you know that about yourself, but you are more than your physical. Yeah. There's more to you. And even if you are a Miss World or a Miss Jamaica or whoever you are, you know that your physical beauty, there's another kind of beauty that is far more important. What's your character like? There has to be some kind of compatibility between you and that person who has an interest in you. You can't be in a rush, because the you in you knows that you want to be successful at what you do. So if it's a relationship, you want it to be successful. It will have its challenges, but above that, you want it to be successful. And so it takes time. It takes counsel sometimes. It takes, as Monique says, listening to somebody else. And I think looking at the person, don't be too hasty. What the song says, take time to know him. Take time to know her. It's not an overnight thing. A relationship has the potential to be long-lasting. And the other thing is that if you see that it's not something that's going to meet up or is compatible with who you are, let it go. Is that about money? Is that about looks? Is that about material things? It's quality.
All right, so Our final question for this evening: what role does spirituality play in how we view ourselves? Does it play a role?
I think so. First of all, I should see myself, when I understand how I got here, I was created in the image of God. I was created a perfect being, to be in the image of God in his very likeness. Therefore, I put a particular value on myself. I didn't come here by chance. Mm-hmm. I had no chance to decide who are my parents. But in spite of that, I was created by God, and he gave me abilities and talents. And he didn't give me them fully blown. He gave me them that I could grow and become. And therefore, everything I do, I think I should consult him as to what I'm about to do, what I would want to do, what's your will for my life. And I think the ultimate success is when my life is tailored in his plan for me.
Yes, Joan. She drew my scripture that I wanted to draw. Genesis 1:26 that says we are created in the image and the likeness of God. And we were using our scripture earlier. I think that's from Psalm. Fearfully and wonderfully made. And I have this thing that I always say. I am a strong believer in the Bible. I'm a strong believer in God. And if the Bible says it, I believe it, I'm going to own it, and I'm going to model it. No, God tell me for him create me in his image and likeness. I am very, very much special, yes. Right? So I have, based on that, I have enough to draw my confidence on, because I know that I am created for a purpose. I'm not an afterthought. Careful planning went into me when God thought of creating me. So, in terms of that, that is enough for me to draw on, to boost my self-confidence that I have a lot to offer and a lot to contribute.
Amen. Preach it, sister. Additionally, the Bible talks about that we are prince and princesses.
Yes.
Royalty.
We're royalties.
Yes. So with all of that, and who we're associated with, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords.
Come on.
We should feel very confident in who we are, and therefore not allow anybody to just say any little thing and cause us to just quiver in a little corner.
No.
Right? We should stand with confidence. We should walk in confidence. Whatever we do, we should just put our shoulders back.
Chest high, and head high.
And walk like a peacock.
Yes.
All right. So, any final thoughts, ladies?
All right. So, final thoughts. We have to accept that we're living in an imperfect world, right? So, whatever we feel that is perfect around us, we cannot perfect anything at all. So, just change what you know you can handle at the very moment. Change that perspective, change that mind thought about your image, about yourself, and just let everything else go. Whatever anybody else is saying to you, don't pay it any attention, but just breathe and believe that you yourself is what it is meant to be.
So the next time somebody asks you, who are you? Don't be baffled. Don't be stunned. Don't be taken off guard, because from this discussion, you are reminded that you are special. You are royalties. You're fearfully, you're wonderfully made. You're not an afterthought. God made careful, or there were careful planning when you were being created. So you should walk with your chest high and your head high, because you are the child of a king.
Well, what can I say? It has been an interesting discussion. And even though I'm introspecting, who am I? And I should be able to give a better definition of who am I. You should be able to, because I'm sure we have raised some thoughts in your mind. Listen, remember that who you are will determine your life. Whose you are should play a big role in determining who you are. More power to you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. That's my word to you.
Okay. So, on this journey called life, we are still discovering who we are. I believe we're complex human beings, multidimensional. We do not know the metal that we are made of. True, when we realize some of the impossible feats that we have overcome, or some of the hurdles, some of the situations we have dug ourselves out of. We're still learning about ourselves and our potential. But this evening, we have explored this topic, and I'm sure at the end, we have a better idea of who we are, whose we are. We can walk with our shoulders square and our heads high, as we know that we are children of the King.